Earlier, we saw an example of an agentic process with a parallel condition. Now we'll look at another example, this time using what we call an agentic condition, i.e., a condition is evaluated and based on the result, the action to be taken is determined. Continuing with the context of tasks handled by the training team, let's now consider the following scenario. All content is created in Spanish and translated into different languages. If the target language is other than Japanese, the document is also formatted in Markdown and saved as a Google document, which is shared with the end user. On the other hand, if the target language is Japanese, the document remains in plain format and is also saved and shared as a Google document. As a result of the process, the user receives a single document, either the Japanese translation of the unformatted source document or the translation into another language of the source document with the specified formatting. Okay, we enter the lab and first we see the agents already defined. Expert translator, which translates the document into any language, and training document assistant, which applies Markdown formatting to the text received. Now we're going to define a new process. We name it Conditional Training Agent and add a short description. We edit the properties of the start signal, set its name, and select artifact as the signal type. Then we click on Add and enter training document as the name. The first task is to translate the incoming document. So the agent in charge will be Expert Translator. And we also indicate a name for this task. We continue with the next task. We need to receive the language indicated by the user. So we define a process variable that we call target language. We then complete the task description indicating that it translates the document to the received language. As context, we say that this is a task that is part of the document management process of the training team. In the instructions, we indicate that the document received must be translated into the language specified in the target language process variable. As input, we indicate training document, which corresponds to the source document. And as output, we indicate a new object that we will call translated document. Okay, once the document has been translated, we need to decide the next step. If the document was translated into Japanese, we must finish the process. But if it was translated to any other language, the appropriate formatting must be applied. To do this, we add an agentic condition. We name it Training Condition. And then we must specify the condition's instructions. These instructions must be clear enough for the process to determine with certainty the path to follow. We state that the action to take should be decided based on the value of the target language process variable. If the value is Japanese, the process must end. In any other case, formatting must be applied to the document. On one hand, we add the finish signal, and on the other, we add a new task handled by the training document assistant agent. We assign a name to the task and fill in its properties. For the description, we specify that it is responsible for applying Markdown formatting to the received document. As context, we indicate that this task is part of the training team's document management process. Although the agent's definition contains the guidelines for its role, here we also include the key instructions. Apply the formatting to the document. Save it as a Google document and share the link with the user. And the output will be a new formatted document. So we name it Formatted Document. We now connect the output of this task to the finish signal. Great! We can now test the process. We click on Run and fill in the fields. We enter the subject, choose the document, and first select Japanese as the target language. We click on Run, and the process begins. The translation task is executed, and then the condition is reached where the path to follow is evaluated. Since the language is Japanese, the process proceeds to the finish signal. As a result, the user receives access to the Google Drive document in Japanese without formatting. Now, let's translate a document into Portuguese. We click on Clear and fill in the fields for a new run. We enter the subject, upload the document, and specify Portuguese as the value of the target language variable. We click on Run, and the process starts again. The translation task is executed, and then the condition node is reached. The value of the process variable is evaluated, and it is determined that the next step is to apply formatting to the document. The process ends, and as a result, the user receives access to the Google document in Portuguese with the formatting applied.